To me, it felt like I was expecting the trap masters to hold or to come with a trap in some way. Was there a stage in development when the traps and the trap masters sort of came together?
You know, we went through all kinds of permutations. Last year we heard from, some girl players, hey, we want more girls. So this year we're pushing that hard.
Oh, yeah. So you're suggesting maybe we'll see more than the 4 or 5 girl characters we're used to each season?
Yes.
Welcome to Family Gamer TV. We're at E3 and we've been looking at Skylanders Trap Team, and I'm here with Paul Reiche. We meet again, studio head at Toys for Bob. How's it going?
It is going great. E3 is a madhouse, but it's wonderful to be showing off Trap Team here.
This is the first time it's properly been unwrapped and in front of people to get their hands on. What's the reaction been like?
Oh, it's pretty spectacular. We had a line going around the booth, doubling back. Oh, I walked out there, I took pictures, I sent it to my mom. I'm really excited.
Yeah. So is it nice to sort of be back in the saddle after a year, I imagine working hard, but not in the limelight?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's always great to come here and show off your work and, see the reaction of adults and kids. That's what fires us up. Right now we're in the closing phase of the game and everyone's working very long hours. But when you see kids smiling and laughing and believing in the characters, that makes it all worthwhile. So I'm going to take some of that home with me to the rest of the team when I go.
That sounds great. So in Trap Team, the main novelty to me seems that it's the traps that go in the new portal. How did that idea come about?
Well, one of the things was we create Skylander characters, we create new ones each year, and we put a lot of effort into how fun and crazy and original they are. But we were also putting effort into the villains, but they were just sort of being defeated and going away. And so we sort of said, should we make some of these guys Skylanders? And it didn't make much sense because they were villains. And so we got around to, well, what if we flip the magic moment around and give you a choice? You can collect Skylanders or you can collect villains and suck them out. And so it was suck them out of Skylands and put them in our world in physical traps. And there was just this image in our heads of sort of reaching through and grabbing a guy almost like, he's a toy in Skyland and pulling him back. And so it was figuring out how to realize that. And it was a big challenge. And what we ended up using was audio in the portal. That turned out to be one of the most effective ways to sell the fantasy that the character was actually inside. And if you go back and look at old movies about genies, they're always holding the bottle up and sort of listening inside. And then we used extra lights inside the portal. We have this new Traptanium portal, which is a fun new design. And it combines a special place to put the traps, audio, and new illumination so that when it's speaking, it sort of flashes in sync.
And then you have the Trap Master characters. Now to me it felt like I was expecting the Trap Masters to hold or to come with a trap in some way. Was there a stage in development when the traps and the Trap Masters sort of came together?
We went through all kinds of permutations. We built the Trap Masters first and foremost to be this awesome, strong set of Skylanders with Traptanium weapons. And we thought about, well, should we limit trapping just to them? But we have this belief that you should have as much choice as possible. If you want to use Spyro from the first game to trap somebody, and it's the center activity of the game, we really didn't want to limit it. So we found cool things that the Trap Masters can do outside of just that. Now, first of all, in the current builds of the game, their swords light up. Their weapons get really strong when they're near villains, sort of like Sting in Lord of the Rings.
Nice.
And so if you need to take out a tough villain, a Trap Master's the way to do it. And also we have these formations of Traptanium throughout the game, and they're the only ones who can break through those formations with their Traptanium weapons.
So is that the equivalent of like a swap zone or a giant area in the new game, the Traptanium sections you open up?
Well, yeah, we always try to give new activities for our new special guest stars, and there's definitely those in this game. We also like to make sure that there's secret areas for all your other Skylanders as well, where we hide all kinds of fun power-ups and hats. Well, you know how that works. The Trap Masters, for us, I think when you actually look at the toys, they're pretty spectacular. The way that the crystal works and the light and the scale and their giant size, but then their weapons are even bigger. And not only do they have swords, but For example, Wildfire has this awesome red crystalline shield. He's a great, powerful character. I don't know if you played with him yet, but every button launches this cool fire attack. Yeah. And I like the Crypt King. And he has these like scarab beetles that he can launch that'll seek in.
On the Crypt King, it seemed like it was similar to a design that we saw that wasn't used for Giants. Is that something? Was that the source of that character?
You know, a lot of the designs come from Iwei's crazy imagination, and that character, we kept returning back to it and trying to find a home for it because we all loved it. And so we looked at it as a giant, and it didn't quite work. And you know, some designs go away and they never come back. But then some you just keep trying to find the right place for them to come into existence, and this was it. He had such this huge, awesome, outsized weapon. And in a way, that was the model for the scale of what we were trying to create. Everybody had to sort of live up to that.
And then, so in terms of the development itself, as I understand it, I think you're handling 360, Wii and PS3 in the Toys for Bob studio, and then Beanox doing next gen. Is that right?
Yes. We create all of the levels, all of the characters, and then we work with other Activision studios to sort of complete the large set of platforms that we support. But it's the same game on all systems.
And it's good to see it on the Wii. I think lots of our family viewers will appreciate that. Was that a difficult thing to achieve, or was that always going to be there? Was there any question about it?
Well, we always intended on doing it. I mean, our job is to provide entertainment to our players, and there's a lot of them on the Wii still. And we're very proud of the work we did on the Wii and Giants and SSA. This was a greater challenge because we had so many more playable characters, and we now had versions of the game that were so sophisticated graphically that to try to recreate that effect on the Wii was a great challenge.
But one you met, and so we'll be seeing it on the Wii.
Oh, I think it's great. I mean, I think that it lives up to what we've done before. I think kids will like it a lot. So obviously, we want to entertain our players regardless of what platform they're playing on. And so delivering something on the Wii was very important. Lots of our fans are still on the Wii. They had to have a Toys to Life experience, and we're proud to be the ones giving it to them.
And have you seen what Nintendo are doing with their Toys to Life product? Any comment on that?
You know, Nintendo has been a really great partner of ours over the years, but honestly, what we focus on is our innovation. That's been our recipe for success, and that's what each of us drives ourselves to do. And so given how much we're working finishing this game, none of us have time really to look at any games right now.
I think it's quite interesting that Toys to Life name does seem to have been picked up as the name for the genre. There's maybe some, you could call it lots of different things, but that seems to have been, so Toys for Bob sort of coined that genre.
Yeah, it's fun to see a genre name come into existence, and it's fun to have participated in actually the invention of it.
And then competitors using that sort of terminology.
You know, I don't know. Like I said, we're heads down, finishing Trap Team.
One of my favourite characters I've seen in the game so far is Painata. Am I saying that correctly?
Correct, yeah.
And but it's such a nice villain. I'm like, oh, it's a shame there's not going to be a proper sculpt because it'd be such a great toy. So I was interested to hear about the back and forth, how you go about designing those great villains.
Well, you know, it's very much like making Skylanders, and you know what you do is you have an idea of the role in the game that you want to fulfill. This is a guy with a close-in attack. He's a heavy. He's going to take a lot of damage. But we're placing him in a certain level that's sort of surreal. And then you go to your concept artists, you give them that loose framework, and then they come back with a bunch of ideas. And they came back with Painata, and we're just like, that is crazy and colorful and awesome. And then when actually the animators took it over, it just elevated it to this whole new level because the way it sort of runs around, it's sort of playful and sort of horrible. And yeah, I know I would love to see a Painata toy this big, and maybe a pinata of Painata.
But will you actually do a sort of 3D print of the villains as part of that process, or do the villains never exist in tangible form at any point?
It kind of depends. Sometimes we do a 3D print to get a sense of what they look like, but since we don't have toy versions of them, we don't do that for everyone. But we do actually sometimes print them out purely for our own individual, like sitting on your desk toy.
Yeah. nice. So the traps themselves, it seems like there's at least one per element, but maybe more.
Oh yeah, there are definitely more per element. We like to make them collectible as well. So we have a number of different shapes and sculpts, some serious, some funny, some very magical. And then depending on the element that they fall in, they'll have a different crystalline color.
And I've seen some retail packaging, maybe a bit sort of leaked, that would suggest that there'll be some special editions where you buy a trap and it comes preloaded. And I think that's what's happening at E3. The giveaway is a preloaded trap. And is that a route to a different sort of villain, a different version?
Well, yeah, at E3, we're right now giving out a limited edition trap that has a villain inside already, preloaded, that you can only get here at E3.
Yeah.
And, you know, we do special editions. I can't talk any more about the future, but we do love the special editions.
So maybe one downside this year is that for a second year in a row, you need to buy a new Traptanium portal, or a new portal. So was it unavoidable that you needed a new portal again for Skylanders?
Well, each year when we're looking at what our innovation is going to be, the decision to make a new portal or not really depends on whether or not that's necessary for the innovation. You know, we're not in the business of selling portals. They're complex and expensive devices that we put in the starter kit. And so this year, though, when we looked at what was necessary to really sell the idea that your villain was in that trap, it required sound, it required a dedicated slot, and it required the addition of new lights. So for us to have you play on the old portal, well, there was no hole to put the trap in, and also the magic would be lost. So this year, we definitely want to put out a new portal with the starter kit, and in the next years it'll all depend on where the innovation falls, portal, toys, or somewhere else.
That's great. One final thing, families often ask about what the gender mix is like in the game, and it seems to be pretty steady, a good bunch of really strong female characters. And we've just seen, is it Gear Shift? Yeah. The first female trap master or trap mistress, I'm not quite sure what to call her. Is that important that you include both female and male characters?
Absolutely. I mean, we have a lot of female players, and so we want to make sure that each of those characters is strong and dynamic, so that not only do girls want to play them, but boys want to as well. And we've been very successful with Stealth, Elf, and Chill, and a number of characters like that. And last year we heard from some girl players, hey, we want more girls. So this year we're pushing that hard.
Oh yeah. So suggesting maybe we'll see more than the 4 or 5 girl characters we're used to each season?
Yes.
That's great. Super. Well, yeah, I hope they sell well. And I think we also saw Torch recently as another strong female character for Trap Team.
She is this blacksmith who has built her bellows into a giant flamethrower, and she can throw horseshoes that she's made. And so we wanted to not only make a beautiful female character whose hair is on fire, but we wanted to make someone who is strong. You know, to be a blacksmith, you have to be physically strong.
Yeah.
And we really love to see girls see in those characters the possibility of strength and heroism. And then also, like I said, we want our boy characters to play them just as much.
And we've not heard anything this year about Lightcore, the Light Up Skylanders. Should we read very much into that, or they just haven't been announced yet?
We haven't announced anything about Lightcore this year.
Great, well thanks for all that information. It's great to catch up. We look forward to getting our hands on the game, but thanks for your time.
Oh, it's our pleasure, Andy. Thanks.